everyone, welcome back to another video. This is Bruna. Today I have a super fun pattern to share with you. So we are going to be learning this super pretty wavy shell flower pattern that you can use for baby blankets, for cardigans, for jumpers, for anything you want to do. Even if you want to make a blanket for yourself with this pattern, you can. So you can make so many projects using this pattern. And when I found this pattern on Pinterest, I really liked it. So I decided to try for myself and share with you because it's another pattern that you can learn and also you can use in your projects. So this is what we are going to be learning in today's video. And if you end up making this and using in any crochet project you are doing, don't forget to tag me on Instagram if you post any pictures. Also, just to let you know that I have a TikTok account. I usually always leave them here so you can follow me if you want, and also on Instagram, you already know, at Brunaticality. Everything is at Brunaticality, so it's super easy to find me. I also have a Etsy account, so I sometimes post some written patterns and I will be posting some more. Also, I have a Patreon account where you get all of my written patterns for free and some sneak peeks, and you also get to watch my videos before they go live. So one day before you will be able to watch it, so it's exclusively for you guys. So if you want to also support just the channel, I will link everything, all the links will be in the description. So enjoy this amazing tutorial on this beautiful pattern, and now let's begin. So this is what we are going to be using to crochet today's blanket pattern. So I am using the Bravissimo 50 for my yarns, and this one is by Teslan.com, and it's the perfect yarn for baby blankets because it's first 100% acrylic, but at the same time super soft and smooth. It's going to be perfect for a baby because you do want to make sure that the yarn you are using, it's super soft. You can try alpaca, a super soft acrylic yarn like this one, or you can do a wool blend. I will link a few yarns in the description that you can use. I have a few at home that I recommend for baby blankets, so I'll link that in the description. I'll also link the shades for these ones that I'm using in the description. And with this yarn here, I am using a 3.5 millimeters hook. And also we are going to be using a small pair of scissors and a tapestry needle so that we can change the color of the yarn and also weave in our ends. So these are all the materials we are going to be using. So now let's begin with the tutorial. So the first shade that I am starting with will be this beautiful mustard shade. So the first thing that we are going to be doing is creating a slip knot. So now you have to decide the sizing that you want to do for the baby blanket you are doing. Usually a baby blanket, it's 1 meter by 1 meter, so 40 inches by 40 inches, but you can do a little bit smaller or you can do a little bit bigger depending on the age of the baby. I'm going to be leaving a little image here so that you can see the sizings that you can do. So for this little swatch, I am doing a chain of 36 plus 2, which is the multiple that we are doing. So you want to make sure that you are doing a multiple of 3 plus 2, because this is exactly what you're going to be needing for this particular pattern. All right, so you can go ahead and do as many chains as you need. I'm going to be doing my 38, and then I'm going to come back and measure it for you so you know the measurement for this one, and then you kind of have an idea of how many you have to do. So once you are done with your chain, you can do as long as you want. This is just a little swatch that I'm doing. So I have here 38 chains, and that measures, if I just make it nice and straight, 20 centimeters. So with this, you will be able to calculate how many chains you have to do to crochet, for example, a 1 meter by 1 meter blanket. All right, so for the first row, we are going to be doing single crochets going across. So you're going to be skipping the chain 38. You're going to go to 37 and you're going to be creating the first single crochet. And then from here, you're going to be following the chain and you're going to be creating single crochets all the way down. Make sure that you cover all the stitches, and here we should have 37 single crochets in total, so 37 stitches. So now to go into the next row, the second, we are going to chain 1, turn project, and we are going to be working into the back loops only of the stitches. So here we have the front loops and the back loops. So we are going to be working into the back loops only. So go into this very first stitch, so we are not counting the chain 1 as a stitch, and then you're gonna get back loop only, and then you go into single crochet. Next stitch, back loop only, pull up a loop, single crochet. And then we are going to be following this same step all the way down. By going through the back loops, we'll create a super pretty texture to this pattern. So that's why we are doing this here at the beginning, and we are also going to be repeating throughout the pattern too. So for this row, you also want to make sure that you have 37 stitches. So make sure that you get the very last stitch as well. You can always count to make sure that you have the correct amount of stitches. So now we are going to be starting with the flower pattern, that we have kind of like a flower pattern in between the single crochets. So we are going to chain 1, turn project, and still working into the back loops of the single crochets. We are going to be doing 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. And then we are going to chain 2. So now we are going to be skipping 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Into stitch number 7, we are going to be creating a double crochet, so grabbing the entire stitch, so we are not working into the back loop of that stitch. So create the first double crochet, and then you're going to chain 1 into the same stitch, double crochet, chain 1, same stitch, another double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. You're going to keep on repeating that until you have 7 double crochets, and make sure to chain 1 in between the double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you're going to chain 2, skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 into stitch number 7, back loop only. Create a single crochet, and then you're going to be creating single crochets into the next 4 stitches. So we are going to be having 5 in total here, and make sure that they are all into the back loops of the single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochets, and then you're going to chain 2, and we are going to be repeating the same shell stitch here on this side. And then you're going to chain 2 once you've finished with your shell. And then we are going to be skipping 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then back loop only. We are going to finish it off. So we have 3 stitches here at the end. So we are going to be creating single crochets on top of these 3 stitches. Remember that we are not counting the chain 1 at the beginning as a stitch. So you can just skip that, and then we are going to chain 1, turn project, back loop only, and single crochet into the next 2 stitches. And then we are going to chain 2, skip the chain 2 space here. We are going to go straight into the chain 1 spaces in between the double crochets. So you're going to wrap the yarn around the hook, go through the first chain 1 space, and you're going to pull up a loop just like this. Make sure that you kind of stretch a little bit upwards, and then you're going to wrap it around again, go through the same stitch, pull up a loop, and you're going to be repeating that 2 more times. So until you have 4 loops in total around the hook, and then you're going to yarn over, pull through all the loops, leaving this last one on the hook plus the one that you pulled through the loops, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through the 2 loops. Chain 1, and you're going to repeat that one more time. So pull up 4 loops, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, pull through all the loops, keeping that last one on the hook, and then yarn over, pull through the last 2. Chain 1, and now you can repeat the same into all the chain 1 spaces that you have here around the shell. So you should end up with 6 puff stitches on top of the shell stitch. So now to continue, we are going to chain 2, and then we are going to be skipping the chain 2 space and the first single crochet, going to the next one, back loop only, and then single crochet right on top, and then single crochet into the next 2 stitches. So we are going to be having 3 single crochets here, and now we are going to chain 2, skip the next single crochet and the chain 2 space, and we are going to go straight into the first chain 1 space in between the double crochets, and we are going to be creating the puff stitch into this first one, chain 1, and repeat the same all the way around the shell, exactly the same as we did into this one. It's super simple to do, and the finished project, it's incredible. I think it's the most beautiful pattern I ever seen. So once you are done with the puff stitches around the shell, we are going to chain 2, skip here the chain 2 space and the first single crochet, and then we are going to be going into the next single crochet, back loop only, and then 1 single crochet into the last 2 stitches, and that's it. So here we have the next row completed, and look at it, it's looking so cute already. So now we are going to chain 1, turn project, and then we are going to work single crochets all the way across to the other side. So the very first 2 single crochets that we have to do will be back loop only, and then we are going to be using here the chains that we have into the chain 2 space, and we are going to be creating single crochets right on top, so 2 single crochets, and then we are going to use the entire stitch on top here of the puff stitches. So go into the first one, the first puff stitch, single crochet right on top, into the chain 1 space, on top, into the puff stitch, into the chain 1 space, puff stitch, chain 1 space. So just working single crochets on top of the shell, making sure that you also have the same amount of stitches as the beginning. So we have 37, so you also want to make sure that you have 37 stitches here on top. And then once you get into the chain 2, just grab a little stitch from the chain. So we have 2 chains here, so the first one, the second, and then when you get in the middle single crochets, you can get back loop as well of these 3 and create single crochets on top. And then here we have the chain 2 space, so we are doing single crochets into that as well. And then we got into the shell, so we are going to be doing single crochets on top, and then here to finish it off we are going to be doing single crochets on top of the chains, the chain 2, and also into the last 2 single crochets using the back loops only. So now to finish the first sequence with this shade, we are going to chain 1, turn project, and we are going to be working single crochets all the way to the other side using the back loops only. So this one is very simple. So back loop only and single crochet all the way across, all the way to the end of the row, making sure that you have 37 stitches into this row as well. So here we have our very first 6 rows to complete the very first shade with the very first pattern with the flower. Every time you finish 6 rows, you change into the next shade and then you continue the pattern. We are not doing the same all the way through, so now we are going to go into the next section, in which is creating a flower here, a flower shell here, and then here. So it's always going to be flower here and then flower on the sides, in the middle and on the sides. It's kind of like a pattern, so it looks super, super pretty. So now we can go ahead and cut this yarn, and we are going to fasten off so that we can bring the next shade. And you want to leave your work just like this, because we are going to be attaching the yarn here on this side. If you want, so that your work is nice and clean, you can already weave in. So I'm going to be doing that so that I don't have to do this at the end. So now let's bring the next shade we are going to be using. I am using this beautiful copper shade for my next shade, and then I'm going to finish it off with the brown. So first, with this shade, we are going to be making a slip knot. This is how I attach my yarn in place. And then you're going to be coming right here into this very first single crochet, back loop only, go through that stitch, and then you're going to single crochet. So what we are going to be doing now, it's creating 2 rows of single crochets using only the back loops of the previous row. And this is our very first part for the next shade. So 2 rows of single crochets, back loop only. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my 2 rows of single crochets, and then I will be back to show you how we are going to be making a flower pattern in between the single crochets. When you get at the end, make sure that you get that very last single crochet. You can always count to check if you have 37 stitches here as well. So now to go up, we are going to create half of a flower on this side, half of a flower on this side, and the entire shell flower in the middle, because it's kind of the pattern that we are going for. So first we are going to chain 4, turn project, and we are going to be using this very first stitch here to crochet and to create our shell flower. So create the first double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into the same stitch, chain 1, and the last double crochet into that stitch. So we are going to be having 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochet stitches, counting the chain 3 at the beginning. And then we are going to chain 2, and now we can just follow exactly the same as we did here. So you're going to be skipping 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 into stitch number 7, back loop only, the first single crochet. And then into the next 4 stitches, we are going to be doing single crochets, back loop only, so 5 in total. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now we can chain 2, skip 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Into the 7th, we are going to be doing exactly the same as we did here with the shell. So we are going to double crochet, chain 1, into the same stitch, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, until we have 7 double crochets into the same stitch. And then chain 2, skip 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, into number 7, single crochet, back loop, into the next 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, chain 2, and repeat the same as here on the other side. So you're going to be skipping 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And into this last one, you can grab the entire stitch. You're going to be creating 4 double crochets and a chain 1 in between the double crochets. So chain 1 and double crochet. So until you have 4 double crochets in total. So 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 1 in between them. So this is how the next row it's going to look like, the next row with the flowers. So as you can see, we have one flower here and then the other one is going to be right in the middle. Super, super pretty pattern. So now for the next row, we are going to chain 3, turn project, and we are going to be using the chain 1 spaces in between the double crochets to create our puff stitches. So go into this first one and create the first puff stitch. So you're going to be first creating the 4 loops, yarn over, pull through all the loops, leaving the last 2 on the hook, yarn over, pull through. Chain 1. So now from here, just repeat the same puff stitch into the next 2 spaces. So now following the pattern, you're going to chain 2, skip the 2 chain spaces in the first single crochet, go into the next 3, back loop only, and single crochet. So 1, 2, and 3. So now chain 2, and then now we are going to be creating the puff stitches on top of the next shell. So here we go, we have the middle puff stitches completed, and then we are going to just follow the pattern. So chain 2, skip the chain 2 space in the first single crochet, and then single crochet, back loop only into the next 3, chain 2, and then go skip the single crochet in the chain 2 space and go into the first chain 1 space in between the double crochets and create the 3 puff stitches that we have to create going around the last shell. So once you have created the last puff stitch, you just have to do a double crochet on top and into the chain 3, just so that we have a nicer finishing here on the side. And here we have the next shade nearly completed. As you can see, it's just following the same steps, but just adding half of a flower here and half of a flower on the other side. And now we can just repeat the same 2 rows that we did on top of this shell. So we are going to chain 1, turn project, and then we are going to single crochet on top of the shell. You can do as you wish. I just grabbed the entire stitch because it's easier. And then when we get to the chain 2, we just use the little stitches on the chain 2. And then when I get into the single crochets, I use the back loops. So just do as you wish and as it's easier for you. So I'm going to be doing this one and the next single crochet row as well. Then the next one, you're going to be using the back loops only of the single crochets. And then once I'm done with this next 2 rows that I have to do with single crochets, I will be back and then I'm going to show you how it looks completed. So here it is, the next 6 rows completed with the next shade. I love it. I think this is just the best pattern and the prettiest pattern I ever crocheted in my life because it's so cute and look at all the texture. It's incredible. So what we have to do now, it's fasten off, bring the next shade, for me it's going to be brown. And what we have to do is just follow exactly the same as the very first 6 rows on top of this one. It's that simple, and you're just going to keep on repeating the first and the second part until you have the length you want. That's simple, right? How easy this is. So I'm going to now go ahead and do mine next 6 rows of the camera, you're just going to be following exactly the same. So I don't think it's necessary if I show you again, because I'm just going to be repeating myself again. And if you need a little extra help, you can always go back into the video and you can watch it again, all right? From row number 1, because we are going to be repeating from row number 1 to 6 again here on top of this one. And then once you have this next 6 rows completed, so we are going to be having 2 flowers here, you're going to then repeat the second shade on top of the third shade. All right, so it's super simple. So I'm going to fasten off this one, and then I'm going to bring my next shade and I'm going to start the next part. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this off the camera, and then I will be back to show you how it looks once I have all the 3 shades completed. So here it is. So this is the pattern completed. So as you can see, I have added the last 6 rows here. You cannot really see because it's in brown, dark brown. Look at the shades together. It's so beautiful. I love this pattern. This is now my favorite pattern ever. Oh my god, I'm so in love with this pattern. Let me know in the comments what I should crochet using this pattern. I would love to use this for like a clothing item or something that I can actually wear, because it's so beautiful. So yeah, everyone, this is it. This is how you crochet this beautiful wavy shell flower pattern. I'm not sure how this is actually called. I'm not sure if there is a name for this pattern, but this is how you crochet it. And let me know in the comments how it was for you to follow this tutorial. And also don't forget to tag me on Instagram if you post any pictures using this pattern here in your crochet items. I would love to see you using this pattern. So yeah, so thank you so much everyone for watching until the end, and I really hope you have enjoyed again today's tutorial. And if you did enjoy, don't forget to leave your massive thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and to turn on the notification bell to receive notifications every time I post a new video. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.